Hello everyone. Since this weekend there is no races for the road to the Kentucky Derby, we are talking this time about the pedigree of a horse that probably is not on the radar of too much people, but he's pointing to the Arkansas Derby and he's again in the Derby Trail. His name is Blackberry Wine. Blackberry Wine is a son of Oxbow out of Classicism by A.P. Indy. He's a Calumet horse. He started his career at Saratoga on a sprint race and he failed in that race mainly because he's not made for sprint races. Then they tried Kentucky Downs and Kineland on turf and the horse was both times a decent third. Then they went to Churchill Downs and he crushed the field on the slot, winning gate to wire. After that race, rarely, that's what in my opinion, a weird move. They tried again the turf, and he was third in that race. Then again, they chipped to fairgrounds and won an allowance on the dirt, beating horses like Digital, Chestertown, and among other horses. After that race, a race where he recorded a very high speed figure, he was ready to run the Rising Star as one of the favorites of the race. However, he disappointed on that race and was 7th, finishing very tired on the stretch. Very tired. After that race came news about the qualification of 6 or 7 horses trained by Joe Sharp, and because they were positive on the doping, including Blackberry Wine, Silver Dust, and other horses. I think that is strange. Silver Dust, after the disqualification, won handily a stakes race, and also Blackberry Wine, after his disqualification, he ran again a maiden special weight and won the race by 13 lengths, again recording a very high speed figure, similar to the Rebel Stakes speed figure. With that said, Joe Sharp thinks the horse belongs to the Derby Trail and he will give him another chance. They will try an allowance on April 11 at Owland Park, and then if he wins, they will go to the Arkansas Derby. Okay, let's talk about his pedigree. He is by Oxbow, out of Classicism by A.P. Indy. Let's talk a bit about Oxbow. Oxbow was Dwayne Lucas trainee by Awesome Game out of This Amazing by CSTC. Oxbow, he wasn't a win machine. He just won 3 races on his career. He broke his maiden at Churchill Downs. Then he won the Lecomte Stakes. Then he was 4th in the Rising Star. I think then he qualified to the Kentucky Derby with his second on the Rebel Stakes. In the Rebel Stakes, he was second to Will Take Charge by a head. Then he disappointed in the Arkansas Derby. He was a distant 5th, but in the Kentucky Derby he ran very well. He was a decent 6th. Then in the Preakness he beat Orb, Golden Sands, It's My Lucky Day, and he won this race almost gate to wire. The Preakness Stakes in 2013. He ran in the Belmont Stakes and was second to Palace Malice. After that race he tried the Haskell, was a disappointing 4th, then he was retired after that race. Okay, as you know, he wasn't a wing machine. He just won 3 races on his career. Oxbow um, was made to run long. His best races was on shorter distance, like the Preakness, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont Stakes. In the Belmont, he ran pretty well, but Palace Malice was really almost unbeatable in that race. Let's go with Blackberry Wine's Dam. Blackberry Wine Dams is classism. Classism is he just ran once at Europe. However, she is full sibling to Tempera. Tempera won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile in 2001. That day she beat really nice fillies like Take Charge Lady and Imperial Gesture. She was a Godolphin filly. After that race, they shipped the filly to Maiden, to Dubai, to try the UAE Oaks. In that race, the UAE Oaks, she was second that time to Imperial Gesture. Sadly, that filly died of colic after that race. We never know how far she could go. Let's go with Blackberry Wine's second dam. Blackberry Wine's second dam is Color Chart. Color Chart is by Mr. Prospector out of Rainbow Connection by Halo. Color Chart was a stakes winner in Europe and a stakes place in America. One of the best races of Color Chart in America was the Santa Maria Handicap in 1992, when she was second to the Argentinian champion Pasiana. That race was over 1 mile and 1/16. So Color Chart, another filly with class, and another filly made to run long distance. The third down of Blackberry Wine is the Canadian champion Rainbow Connection. Rainbow Connection was a champion at 2 and 3 years old, and she was also the Broodmare of the Year in Canada. Rainbow Connection produced in Canada the champion Rainbow for Life. Rainbow for Life was a $1 million earned $1 million in Canada and USA, winning the Dominion Day Handicap, the Hawthorne Derby, and the Coronation Futurist Stakes Grade 1, and another Grade 1, the Southern Stakes Grade 1. All that races were road distance. Blackberry Wine's pedigree is packed of stamina on the dam side, and Oxbow, another horse with stamina. That said that Blackberry Wine would not have any problem to make the distance on the Derby or the Preakness Stakes. I like him for the Preakness Stakes. He looks like a very nice horse for the Preakness Stakes. Okay, well, we're not sure if they're going to run the Preakness Stakes this year. He's a horse to run long, in my opinion. Probably the 1 mile and 1/16 is too short for him. He seems like an honest galloper. So this is a horse to take an account for the Derby and races farther than 9 furlongs. Now the question is why he get tired in the recent start. Maybe he's a horse that needs the lead, we don't know, or he just had a bad day. Probably he had a bad day in the recent start. This I think we would develop in this week, this month, in the allowance and the Arkansas Derby, where he would face horses like Nadal, and probably Sole Volante is also pointing to the Arkansas Derby. I like the way Martin Garcia rode him in his maiden race. Okay, he was facing non-winners, passed them very easy. So let's see what he's going to do in the allowance. If he wins very well the allowance, I think he would have. I think he has a shot in the Arkansas Derby. I'm not sure if Nadal is going to take the lead in the Arkansas Derby. Um, this horse is a speedy horse. If he finally goes to the Arkansas Derby, I think they will send him and try to wire the field in the Arkansas Derby. It was a short video this time. Hope you like it.